Brought to you by Penguin.
How to Be a Victorian, written by Ruth Goodman and read by Patience Tomlinson. Preface. I want to explore a more intimate, personal and physical sort of history, a history from the inside out, one that celebrates the ordinary and charts the lives of the common man, woman and child as they interact with the practicalities of their world. I want to look into the minds of our ancestors and witness their hopes, fears and assumptions, no matter how apparently minor. In short, I'm in search of a history of those things that make up the day-to-day reality of life. What was it really like to be alive in a different time and place? History came to life for me as a hobby, but once that spark was lit, it quickly became a passion, and finally, a profession. From the very start, an element of practical experimentation has been key to the way I try to understand the past. I like to put time and effort into studying the objects and tools that people made and used, and I like to try methods and approaches out for myself. Take, for example, a dark wool coat lying in a drawer at a small museum in West Sussex. Heavily worn and lined with a patchwork of fabrics, it belonged to a farm labourer and dates back to the 1880s. The coat reminds us that here was a man who sweated and left stains on his clothes, who physically felt the cold, and whose wife spent hours carefully and neatly sewing up the tear, still just visible on the right-hand side next to the buttons. When I look at that careful repair, I'm reminded of the sewing textbooks in use in Victorian schools for working-class children. A trawl through the bookshelves leads to a set of instructions, accompanied by beautifully drawn diagrams. With needle and thread in hand, I can attempt to follow these instructions on a tear in one of my own garments. His wife was evidently well trained, particularly if my own struggles are to be noted. Questions spring forth. How widespread was such needlework education, and was it likely to have been women who carried out such repairs? If it takes me over an hour to do the work, would my Victorian forebears have been quicker? When would they have fitted such a chore into their day? Such intimate details of a life bring a feeling of connection with the people of the past, and also provide a route into the greater themes of history. As a tear in a man's coat can lead one to question the nature of mass education, or to look into the global nature of the textile industry, so too the great sweeps of political and economic life bring us back to the personal. The international campaign against slavery and the American Civil War would, in combination, have devastated the trade in cotton, driving weavers back into hunger. This would have pushed up the price of the labourer's coat, making that repair more necessary. Queen Victoria's reign spanned more than 60 years and encompassed vast social, political and economic changes. Industries rose and fell, and scientific revolutions overturned the old understanding of how the world worked. People's ideas of right and wrong were challenged, and legislation was dragged along in the wake. With all these different things going on, how then can one talk about what it was like to be a Victorian? This book is my attempt. It's a personal exploration, following my own fascinations, questions and interests. There's much that I've missed, and there are many excellent books that relate in more detail the political, economic and institutional shifts of the period. I aim to peer into the everyday corners of Victoria's British subjects and lead you where I have wandered in search of the people of her age. I've chosen to move through the rhythm of the day, beginning with waking in the morning and finishing with the activities of the bedroom when the door finally closes. Where I can, I've tried to start with the thoughts and feelings of individuals who were there, taken from diaries, letters and autobiographies, and expanding out into the magazines and news.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?